Hello, everybody. It's Jack Hadley from My Social Practice. How are you today? I'm here with one of my very dear friends and one of the smartest, most connected guys in dentistry. and I
Thanks,
like,
Jack.
I like to call him Dr. Mike Buckner, but like me, he's not a doctor. We think we're dentists sometimes because we think about dentistry all day. but you are not Dr. Mike Buckner. But welcome, Mike Buckner.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that.
Good to see you. Good to see you this morning. Um, Mike, take a minute. Let me set this up. We are preparing for the Dental Digital Marketing Conference, which we're only a little over a month away. It's being held the end of April at the Red Rock in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's our fourth annual Dental Digital Marketing Conference. Many of you that are watching this are already registered for the conference, but if you're not registered yet, there are still a few seats available. So go to the website. It's Dental Marketing Conference. Real simple. dentalmarketingconference.com, and check out the lineup of speakers and all the content that's going to be experienced during those couple of days. And Mike is one of our presenters there. And look at the site. See if you think it's a good fit for your practice. And if it is, we'd love to see you there. It's 2 days of being totally immersed in dental digital marketing. That's all we talk about. Nothing clinical, nothing practice management. This is about growing your business using digital marketing. dentalmarketingconference.com. Okay, enough pitching the conference. Let's talk to Mike for a minute. So Mike, take a minute and tell our audience, just very briefly, just introduce yourself and Weave. And then I'm going to ask you to just do a high-level overview of what you're going to talk about at the conference.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jack. And I appreciate the opportunity to present at DDMC. It was a fantastic conference last year. Every year you seem to be upping your game. And so I'm excited to be a part of it again.
Thanks.
I am over the business development for the dental market at Weave. And Weave is it's an all-inclusive patient communication system. You know, I think that all too often we kind of forget that one of the most valuable pieces of equipment in the practice is your phone, because everything starts and stops with your phone. If you think about it, new patients calling in, you think about reaching out, collecting payments, or even confirming appointments. That relationship with your patients, most of it takes place with the phone or with texting. And so Weave is the first all-inclusive patient communication system or phone system that is designed for the dental practice. And so it syncs with the practice management system so that when you have a patient that calls in, you actually see who's calling in. You have all their information up in front of you so that you know, Sally's calling in and her husband has an appointment next week. It's her birthday. She owes X amount of dollars. So really, we can maximize the time that an office has with their patients in communicating with them.
Yeah.
You think about that, and you think about an office manager communicating with someone over the course of 12 months. And on average, they might have about 5 minutes of actual communication time. And so we know that information has to be readily available so that when they are talking to them, they can take care of everything they need to, but also give them a sense that they know who they are. As you know, I mean, the success of a dental practice solely relies on the relationships, the relationships that you have with your patients.
Yeah, in fact, I've read a study one time, a couple of years ago. They did all this analysis on what makes a thriving, successful dental practice. And surprisingly enough, and this is in no way to diminish the importance of great clinical dentistry, but the study concluded that only about 15% of the success of a practice is dependent on the clinical expertise or clinical dentistry, that it's about a whole bunch of other factors that are tied to being a patient and having the patient experience at the practice. And so yeah, I think communication is a huge component. And
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention that, you think about how we interact today. There are so many apps. There's Facebook, you've got Snapchat, Instagram, everything to help us feel connected. I mean, we thrive for that connection. We thrive for that acceptance. And so if you don't have that anywhere you go, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's That's your dentist. I mean, that's what's going to really create the loyalty and people coming back, is having that sense of belonging, that sense of connection, that when you go to your dentist, that they know who you are. You're not just another smile. You're not just another set of teeth, but they remember the details. They know who you are, and you've got that relationship with them.
Yeah. And one of the important parts to tie back to what we're doing at the conference, very often when we talk about how to grow a dental practice, we often get a little hung up on just talking about new patient acquisition. And in reality, there are many ways to grow a dental practice, including new patient acquisition, of course, but also including better retaining those patients that we already have, and decreasing the amount of attrition. In addition to that, there's the opportunity to get existing patients to spend more money in the practice and to be more consistent in keeping appointments and doing those things that help provide revenue for the practice. So there are a number of ways to grow a dental practice, and the conference is designed to touch on many of those ways. And that's why I was kind of excited when you were telling me earlier about the topic that you're going to present at the conference. So take a minute and kind of tell our audience just a quick overview of what you're going to be speaking about at the conference.
Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking about 3 ways to solidify your retention marketing plan. So we don't often hear about a retention marketing plan. In fact, most of the time we hear about an acquisition marketing plan. Uh-huh. And I think that the best way to relate this is like sports. You know, you take the example of the Super Bowl just this last year.
Yeah.
And Patriots, they played a phenomenal game. The 600 plus yards offensive, they had a great game. But some might argue, and I'm not going to get into the arguments here, but some might argue that they lost the game because of poor defense. And the Eagles won the game because they had a great defense. And so the same principles apply to a dental practice. We can have a phenomenal marketing plan. We can have a phenomenal acquisition marketing plan to get new patients in the door. But unless we have a strong defensive plan, unless we have a strong retention marketing plan and know how we're going to retain those patients, then it really does no good.
Yeah, if you can't plug up the back door, it doesn't matter how many are coming through the front door, right?
No, exactly. So to kind of take this a step further, you can break this down to the necessity to really create your own culture, your own brand within your practice. I like the example. I've got a good friend out in Virginia Beach, and he has a phenomenal cosmetic office. But one thing that really sets him apart is he has a garden that he grows in the back of his practice, and he shares his produce with his patients. Yeah. I mean, that's something that really just sets you apart and creates that brand that people are going to be loyal to you. People are going to come back to you. And so one of the things that I'm going to talk about is really looking at the difference of what a repeat patient is, someone who keeps coming back, or we would call them a satisfied patient, versus a loyal patient. Mm-hmm. Now, Jack, this is really interesting. You know, you take the average across the United States, and I know that if you were to ask, any dental practice, how many of your patients are scheduled for something else, whether that's restorative or hygiene, most of them would say, you know what, I've probably got about 90% of my active patients that are scheduled, because everyone who leaves the door, we get them scheduled for something else.
Right.
Well, on average, that's about 77%. Now, here's the interesting thing. Of that 77%, we think, okay, we have 70% of our patients coming back. They're rescheduling. So we have loyal patients. But of that 77%, Jack, only 37% of those are your loyal patients.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who are going to be your advocates. Those are the ones who think there is no better dentist that exists. There is no better practice that exists. And it doesn't matter if someone, moves in right next door to them. They have the relationships. They're loyal. They're going to be coming back, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be sending all their friends and family your way, versus the 40% that are just our satisfied patients. They're the ones that, they've been going to you for a while. Yeah. They're not really your advocates. They don't leave the reviews, but they're going because it's almost a matter of habit. But I'll tell you what, as soon as you have another shiny object that pops up, as soon as you have another practice that's either cheaper or better, they will be very quick to leave. So how do we take those 40 and make them your loyal patients as well?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when you frame it up that way. The thing that fires in my brain is that new patient acquisition is actually directly tied to retention, if you think about it. Because if you make a patient more loyal and you strengthen the relationship with that patient, then not only do they not leave, not only do they not go out the back door, but they become more likely to become advocates for the practice. They're more likely to refer a coworker at lunch who says, hey, I've been thinking I need to do a new dentist, or I don't like my dentist. Who do you go to? They're the ones that chime in because they're loyal. And they're the ones that say, hey, you got to go to my dentist. She's the best dentist ever. So they're kind of related,
Absolutely.
Decreasing attrition and increasing word of mouth referrals are really related to each other.
Absolutely. Your loyal patients, I mean, the ROI of a loyal patient, if you think about that, you're going to have fewer open spots in your chairs because they're not going to be the ones that are canceling the appointments.
That's right. Exactly.
They're going to be the ones that are on time. They're going to be the ones that are leaving you reviews. I mean, when they leave your practice, they're almost asking you, hey, Jack, what's the best way that I can leave you a review? Where do you want me to leave a review?
Yeah.
They're loyal.
Yeah.
And then they're the ones as well. I mean, even this morning, I hopped onto Facebook, and one of the things that popped up in my neighborhood community was, does anyone know of a good place for a good dentist that I could take my kids to? Now, I'll tell you, the 40%, they're not going to chime in.
That's right.
So 37% that is almost going to fight tooth and nail to get that patient into their dentist's chair.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that on Facebook, and it has to do with this concept of social proof. In the old days, the days of when really the only way to find things online was to do a search in Google or whatever. People would put in dentist in my city and see what comes up and then start clicking. But, people are using lots of data points now to make those decisions and looking for a lot of social proof. And I've noticed so much of that happening on Facebook. People saying, hey, I need my roof repaired. Who do you recommend? I need a new dentist. Who do you recommend? I'm taking my wife out for anniversary dinner next weekend. Where do you recommend we go? They're looking to these trusted networks and these kinds of relationships as social proof. It's really pretty fascinating.
Absolutely. And on top of that, I mean, today's day and age, information is everything. I mean, we have never had such ease of information at our fingertips, which makes it crucial that if we are not communicating with our patients in a very quick and personalized manner, that we're going to lose them. For example, if you have a new patient that calls the practice and nobody picks up the phone, well, you know what? They're going to hop online. They're going to look for somebody else close by, and they're going to call them because we're not patient anymore. Yeah. Versus if you had a new patient call in or someone that calls in and you're not able to get to the phone. Let's say you're talking with a patient, you're present there talking with the patient. Maybe you're taking payment for a large case and you don't want to interrupt this conversation with the payment or with the patient. Instead, that new patient who's calling in, if they can't get a hold of you, you can, hop on, maybe leave a text message to that patient, say, I'm with another patient. I'll call you back in 2 to 3 minutes, because we have to connect quick. Yeah. We have to, have that accessibility in order to avoid them being distracted and just going on to the next best thing.
That's great. Well, I'm sure your presentation is going to be really valuable to the conference, and I appreciate you going to come and talk about that. And I'm sure that you'll have some actionable items for our audience, to things that they can do in their practice the following week. And we'll look forward to hearing your presentation next month. So
absolutely. Thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike, for taking the time. And again, for those of you who aren't registered for the conference, I'll give the URL one more time. It's dentalmarketingconference.com. And how can people connect with you, Mike, if they want to learn more about you or the things that you're doing, or more about what you're going to present? You're one of our premier sponsors, so you're going to have you'll have a table there to visit with people about what Weave does. But how can people connect with you?
Yes, you can email me at mike.buckner@getweave.com, or feel free to shoot me a text or a phone call at 801-310-7664.
Great. Thanks, Mike, and we'll see you in a few short weeks.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, take care.
All right.
Bye.